Imagine a man so genuinely kind that even the roughest streets of Hollywood seem to soften in his presence. That was John Candy, a comedic genius whose laughter could fill a room and whose heart seemed even bigger than his iconic smile. Early in the new documentary John Candy, I Like Me, we glimpse the depth of the love and admiration that surrounded him. Starting at his 1994 funeral, Dan Aykroyd, his friend and SNL collaborator, delivered a eulogy that captured the essence of Candy, a man brimming with joy, a spark of madness, yet endlessly gentle. "There's a word we don't hear much anymore," Aykroyd said. Grand. He was a grand man. Candy's work spanned decades, from small yet memorable roles in Stripes, The Blues Brothers, and National Lampoon's Vacation, to commanding the screen in Hughes classics like Planes, Trains and Automobiles and Uncle Buck. But beyond the laughs and the heartwarming performances, there was a human story, one that shaped the man behind the comedy. A story of loss, resilience, and an unshakable desire to make others feel seen. John Candy's life wasn't just about the movies or the laughter he brought to millions. Born in Ontario, Canada, in 1950, Candy grew up in a home shadowed by early loss. His father passed away when John was just 5 years old, leaving an emptiness that would quietly shape him. Colin Hanks, the director of John Candy, I Like Me, reflects on this formative experience, noting that young Candy developed coping mechanisms that mixed humor with humanity, eating, drinking, and smoking, but also a relentless desire to host, to entertain, to connect. It was as if he knew life could be fleeting and wanted to squeeze every ounce of joy into the time he had. In Hollywood, this translated into more than just being a comedic talent. It became his trademark kindness. But for Candy, generosity wasn't just a virtue. It was survival, a way to reach out, to offer warmth and approval to anyone around him. And those who worked with him noticed immediately that there was something almost magical in the way he could make anyone feel important, seen, and heard. Candy's kindness wasn't just a Hollywood legend, it was deeply personal. Macaulay Culkin, who starred alongside Candy in Uncle Buck, remembers him as the father figure he desperately needed at the time. Culkin was just 8 years old, navigating a difficult home life with a demanding father, and Candy stepped in naturally, offering support and guidance without judgment. Even before the wave crested with Home Alone, it was clear how hard my father was, Culkin recalled. Candy was the person who made me feel safe. And it wasn't only children who felt this warmth. Colin Hanks, whose father Tom Hanks worked with Candy on Splash, remembers how Candy treated him with genuine attention, making a young boy feel seen and valued in a world that often overlooks children on movie sets. Candy's ability to connect, to radiate empathy, even while performing absurd slapstick or outrageous comedy, left a lasting imprint on everyone around him. It's that rare combination of humor and humanity that made Candy unforgettable, not just for the laughs, but for the profound sincerity behind them. Colin Hanks reflects on Candy's unique presence in Hollywood, saying, "People always call my dad the nicest guy in Hollywood, but you clearly haven't met John Candy." That sentiment captures the respect and admiration Candy earned across the industry. Fellow comedians and collaborators like Steve Martin, Bill Murray, Martin Short, and Catherine O'Hara all weighed in for the documentary, sharing stories that reveal a man who combined humor with heart, absurdity with authenticity. Candy had a way of taking even the silliest scenes and infusing them with humanity. Giving audiences more than just laughter, he gave them connection. Behind the exaggerated expressions and comedic timing, there was always a glimmer of truth in his eyes. He wasn't just performing, he was communicating, sharing the universal human experience of joy, struggle, and kindness. Watching Candy work on screen, it's easy to see why so many still regard him as an icon. His performances weren't just funny, they were alive, genuine, and deeply empathetic, touching audiences across generations. Candy's impact extended far beyond the laughter he created. He was a mentor, a friend, and a stabilizing force for those around him. Many of his colleagues from Toronto's Second City Theatre and the TV show SCTV, including Eugene Levy, Dave Thomas, and Barbara Walters, and Martin Short, recall his generosity and warmth on and off the set. For Candy, comedy was never just about timing or punchlines. It was about people. He genuinely cared about those he worked with, checking in, supporting, and inspiring them to bring their best selves forward. Colin Hanks points out that this kindness wasn't performative. It came from a deep understanding of life's fragility. Candy reportedly lived under the impression that he was on borrowed time, a sense of mortality that drove both his creativity and his compassion. That awareness of life's brevity made him fiercely present for others, amplifying his ability to make those around him feel valued and cherished. His work reflected this ethos, leaving a legacy that continues to resonate decades after his untimely passing. Candy's story also shows the bittersweet side of Hollywood fame. While audiences adored him for his warmth and humor, he carried the weight of personal struggles quietly. Colin Hanks explains that John's approach to life and comedy was shaped by early loss and a constant awareness of his own mortality. He was under the impression he was living on borrowed time, Hanks says. This awareness drove him to live fully, to make every moment count, both on screen and off. Whether sharing a laugh with a co-star or mentoring a young actor like Culkin, Candy's presence had a grounding effect. Even in slapstick chaos, there was something reassuring about him. He reminded people that humor could coexist with humanity, that laughter didn't have to come at someone's expense. And for those privileged enough to work with him, that combination of talent, kindness, and authenticity created memories that would last a lifetime. Proof that his influence wasn't limited to the box office or comedy reels, but deeply personal and enduring. Candy's influence on younger actors was profound. Colin Hanks shares how his own childhood experience with Candy left an imprint that shaped his understanding of kindness and mentorship. He made me feel important, heard, and seen in ways young kids rarely are, Hanks recalls. Similarly, Macaulay Culkin felt that same protective, supportive presence while filming Uncle Buck. Candy didn't just play characters. He cared for the people around him, especially children, navigating challenging environments. This generosity of spirit extended beyond the set, into daily life and friendships. It's one of the reasons why so many of his co-stars and collaborators describe him as irreplaceable, a man whose humanity informed every performance. The documentary John Candy, I Like Me, brings these stories together, allowing audiences to see not just the comedy legend, but the deeply empathetic man behind the roles, whose legacy continues to inspire laughter, kindness, and authenticity decades after his passing. John Candy, I Like Me, isn't just a look back at a comedic legend. It's a celebration of a life lived fully, with heart, humor, and generosity. From his early days in Ontario to his rise in Hollywood, Candy's story reminds us that true greatness comes not just from talent, but from kindness, empathy, and the ability to make others feel seen. Colin Hanks' documentary paints a portrait of a man who was as human as he was iconic, someone who could bring joy while quietly carrying his own struggles. As viewers watch interviews, behind-the-scenes moments, and anecdotes from friends and colleagues, they're reminded that Candy's spirit lives on, not just in the films we love, but in the lives he touched. He may have left us too soon at the age of 43, but his laughter, warmth, and generosity continue to inspire. For anyone seeking a story of genuine humanity in Hollywood, Candy's life is a masterclass, and this documentary is the perfect tribute to the grand man he truly was.